On this week's episode of Headlines, we'll be looking at the latest on COVID, what the heck is going on in Thailand, why we want New Zealand to be the world's new overlords, and why you shouldn't buy an iPhone 12 right now. Welcome to Headlines. First, some coronavirus briefs. India will soon be rolling out a quick, cheap paper virus test named Feluda after a detective in the famous Indian novel series. The test can deliver results within an hour. It doesn't need any sophisticated equipment or highly trained manpower, says co-creator Souvik Maiti, a scientist at the New Delhi's CSIR Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology. The price has not been released, but early estimates have it at around $7, which will be a boon for any nations carrying out high-volume testing. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that there'll be no trick-or-treating for his kids this Halloween because of the pandemic, but they might get to hunt for candy at home, Easter style. Trudeau famously likes to dress up in costumes for Halloween and parties, and since coming to power in 2015, he's been Clark Kent, Sherlock Holmes, and Star Wars fan favorite Han Solo. So, what's he going to be this Halloween? The Beaster Bunny? In terms of Glovid numbers, more than 41 million infections have been seen worldwide. The US, India, Brazil, Russia, and Spain are the countries with the highest tally of COVID-19 cases. Nope. This isn't Hunger Games 4, or is it 5? This is Bangkok. A state of emergency was declared in Thailand last week as tens of thousands of protesters broke the 6 p.m. curfew law to protest against King Maha Vajiralongkorn and Premier Prayut Chan-o-cha's government. So, here's what's up. A new king and a prime minister who just keeps hanging around. In 1932, Thailand abolished its absolute monarchy in favor of a parliamentary-style system. But in 2014, there was a coup d'etat led by General Prayut Chan-o-cha, who has led the country ever since. Last March, Chan-o-cha was re-elected in what many Thais think was a rigged election. In November, the opposition Future Forward Party leader was disqualified by the court, who said that he had violated election rules. In February this year, the FFP, popular amongst young Thais, was forced to disband, and thousands of young Thais took to the streets. Everything stopped in March because of the coronavirus. In June, protests kicked off again after a democracy activist named Wanchilaram Satsaksit was abducted from Cambodia. He was wanted in Thailand for breaking the country's strict lèse-majesté laws, which imprisons people who say anything bad about the Thai royal family. Speaking of the royal family, the last Thai king was a frugal man who reigned for 70 years. He died in 2016, and the crown prince, Maha Vajiralongkorn, ascended to the throne last year in May. Thailand's royal fortunes was controlled by a secretive company, the Crown Property Bureau. One of the first things the new king did was to make himself the owner of this company. This gave him control of more wealth than the reported riches of the King of Saudi Arabia, the Sultan of Brunei, and the British royal family combined. Now, he's the 5th richest man in the world. The military didn't say a word. The new king is currently in Germany, holed up in a hotel sheltering from COVID. He landed there in March. Protests have continued to swell, and counter-protests have sprung up from those who support the royal family. Last week, authorities tried to block voice TV station and telegram messaging apps after protesters took over 2 of Bangkok's main transport hubs. A state of emergency, as I mentioned earlier, was declared. On Wednesday night, Chan-o-cha told protesters that he would lift the state of the emergency if they remained peaceful. He said that he'd listen to their demands, but solutions had to be found through parliament. Not everything is especially bad in 2020. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has just clinched an outstanding victory in New Zealand. This is significant for 3 reasons. 1, hello, it's Jacinda Ardern. 2, this has been the best result for any party since 1951. And 3, this is also the first time any party has been in a position to govern alone in New Zealand. Ardern's success can be attributed to the way she dealt with the crises during her term. She answered the worst terrorist attack in the country's history with empathy and a decisive move to strengthen gun laws. Last year, there was a surprise eruption of the Wakari volcano, which killed 21 people and injured 26. Ardern actively oversaw rescue operations supporting emergency responders. And when COVID struck, she came up with the Go Hard, Go Early plan, which has been a stunning success so far. And, of course, she even survived that awkward car ride with Stephen Colbert. Finally, a bite of apple and it's not so sweet. Apple unveiled their flagship iPhone lineup, the iPhone 12 series, at their October Apple event on the 13th. Critics say that the iPhone 12, which comes in 4 sizes, is underwhelming. The new iPhones no longer have the sleek, rounded edges that were on the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 11. Now, they're boxy and flat, much like the older iPhones. Each new incarnation of the iPhone seems to ditch something from the last. The 12 switches to a MagSafe magnetic charging port, which will set you back a not-so-subtle 320 Hong Kong dollars. What can we expect for the iPhone 13? Well, I guess Apple will be selling some pretty high-quality boxes then. But the iPhone 12 is 5G, so if you want to download the latest episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a matter of seconds, you might consider them. But hold on to your fire for a month or two, because experts say that prices are sure to come down. On that note, those are your headlines for this week. I'll see you next time on Headlines.